Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new Football Manager 2016 video with me, James, from the Football Manager WizKids. Now today, we're doing Premier League Simulate, as of today, the 30th of June 2016. Now of course, as you know, I update the database on a daily basis, and the likes of all the big name signings that have currently joined the Premier League, the promotion and relegations have been done in the Premier League, and of course all the new managers as well. So we're going to have a look a little bit in depth at some of the players and the managers and each team in the Premier League. Then we're going to simulate to see how they get on and how the Premier League as of today would pan out in Football Manager a year ahead in time. And we'll see how the likes of the big name signings that have come in will do, such as Michy Batshuayi at Chelsea, Zlatan Ibrahimovic at Manchester United, and of course some of the managers including Jurgen Klopp in his first full season at Liverpool, as well as Claude Puel, who has just joined Southampton, as well as Guardiola at City, Conte at Chelsea, and really we'll just see how the teams get on in general, as well as the promoted Premier League 3 teams, see if they can handle their own in the Premier League on Football Manager. So here we have the 2016-2017 Premier League table. As you can see, the holders of the competition so far are Leicester City, who will play in the Champions League, and we will look into the European competitions as well as the domestic cups and the Premier League once we simulate a year ahead in time. As you can see there, Burnley, Hull and Middlesbrough all currently in the Premier League. We're not going to look at every single individual team at the moment. We'll look at more or less the bigger ones and some of the bigger players signed so far on the dotted line in the Premier League. So we'll just run through in alphabetical order some of the teams that we will look to. And first up is Arsenal, of course, the signing of Granit Xhaka for around £30 million from Mönchengladbach. Sure to be a shrewd signing for Arsene Wenger's men, although I do think he could do with a more natural goal scorer with Danny Welbeck injured at the moment. They've got Giroud. He's a bit of hit or miss. Sometimes he can go on barren spells, but that's the area I think they should look for. They also, I think, need a central defender as well. But remember guys, all the loans are undone in this database, so the likes of Chesney, Debuchy, Jenkinson and the likes of other players are back from their loan spells at other clubs. Key men in this Arsenal team for Arsene Wenger, I would say on Football Manager, are Hector Bellerin, who turns into an absolute world-class player from the start of the game. Peter Cech will also be a big player. Koscielny, of course. The likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain will have to step up, and this man is the key player of them all. That is Mesut Ozil, of course. £51 million value. What a player. As I was saying, the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Jack Wilshere, they really need to step up and prove their worth in real life, because they always seem to be injured more than they actually play. Arsenal, however, do have to appoint a new full-time captain, as Mikel Arteta has left the club and is currently a free agent. Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil being the main men of this team, surely they will contribute to a lot of goals in this team. Next up is Bournemouth. I think they've got a pretty good project going on. I think Eddie Howe is a very good and talented young manager. This is a shrewd loan signing. Had a really good loan season at Watford last year, who did make the FA Cup semi-final, and Nathan Aka, the Dutch player on loan from Chelsea, is sure to be a good acquisition for them. Compete at the left-back spot at Bournemouth. I think that is where Tyrone Mings plays, who was injured all of last season. He may be a right back or centre back, but I think he is a left back, so that is probably the position he will compete with in the park. Before we move on to the next team, this is the key man for me. Matt Ritchie, a real good player. Now, I genuinely think he is Newcastle bound. I think he will be a Newcastle player within the next 24 to 48 hours, replacing Andros Townsend, who is surely bound for Crystal Palace while taking his medical tonight. Real good player in Football Manager, even better in real life. This kid is really underrated. He's not a kid, sorry, he's 25 years old, but a real good player. Seen him play in person once before, and he was an excellent player for Scotland in that game. A real good player, and a big miss for Bournemouth should he move on. Next up, we look at Burnley, who are going to miss the services of Joey Barton, who has of course joined Rangers in the Scottish Premier League. But this guy is the main guy. Signed from Brentford, scored a lot of goals for Burnley last season. Pace to burn, absolutely rapid, loves an eye for goal, and I think he could be a real good player and very explosive in the Premier League. Burnley yet to really make any major movement in the Premier League transfer market thus far. It does officially open on the 1st of July, which is Friday, tomorrow. He is an excellent player in Football Manager, and hopefully for them he can do it in real life also. Next up we look at Chelsea and Antonio Conte, of course currently the Italian manager. Now it'll be interesting if he takes his favoured formation of a 5-1-2-2 defensive midfielder wing back into the Chelsea system. If they do, it might mean selling quite a few players. Of course they do have around 30 odd players coming back from loans. I'm sure we'll see a lot of them going back out on loan. An excellent manager, a very passionate one at that, and passion is something that I think every football manager needs. Of course, Conte coming in, he does have a real good spine at his disposal. Courtois in goals, Zuma when he's fit is an excellent player, Terry signing on the dotted line for another year, Cahill. He does have Andres Christensen back from Borussia Mönchengladbach on loan, and he apparently had an excellent season. I wonder if we'll see him in the Chelsea shirt this season. Cuadrado valued very highly. Of course, Conte will know him from playing in Italy with Juventus where he picked up a league title. Oscar, Victor Moses back, Willian, Eden Hazard, surely bound to have a more impact on the season coming up than he did in the one past. An excellent goal recently for Belgium. Cesc Fabregas, Luke Remy, who I reckon we'll see go out on loan or permanent transfer. Pedro, so-so last season. Diego Costa, good player, good goal scorer, got a bit of a temperament, but this is their signing that has just passed their medical in Bordeaux. Michy Batshuayi, the Belgian player, a real good player in Football Manager. Probably going to be able to do it for Chelsea, but does that mean he's going to play second fiddle to Costa, or is he going to play up front with Costa? We don't want to see him become like Falcao, like Alexander Pato, like Loic Remy, somebody that doesn't get much of a look in whilst a lot of money being spent on them. A sure, exciting signing for Chelsea fans. Not forgetting Chelsea's players that we'll probably see go out on loan, because they have a lot of players, the like of Matt Miyazaga, Michael Hector, Nathaniel Shaloba, Wallace, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Pasalic, Piazon, Bertrand Traore. It's a shame he's not going to get much action like he did last season in the coming season. Dominic Solanka, Patrick Bamford, Kennedy, Atsu, Boga, Marin still on the books at Chelsea. Tons and tons of players still on the books at Chelsea. I'm sure we'll see a lot of those players go out on loan. Next up, we'll look at the blue side of Liverpool, Everton, who have just brought in Ronald Koeman, of course, as their manager, along with his brother, who is the assistant manager. Didn't spend too long at Southampton, and I actually thought he had a good project going on at Southampton, but it seems the riches of Everton's takeover has tempted Koeman into a bigger wage, a bigger transfer budget, and I'll be honest, a bigger club. Although Southampton, they like to blood their youngsters, they've got a good thing going on there. Overall, Everton are the bigger club in my opinion. Although I would probably be excited about the new man at Southampton. We'll get on to them in a little bit, but just now we'll have a little brief look into Everton. So a decent squad for Ronald Koeman to start with. I'm sure we'll see him bring in a lot of transfers. A goalkeeper, I think they will definitely go for, and I've got a sneaky feeling they will go for Tim Krul of Newcastle, who just signed a new goalkeeper, so that could pave way for a move for him there. John Stones, it'll be interesting to see if you can keep hold of him. We need a big season from Leighton Baines. Coleman, very reliable. Gareth Barry, James McCarthy, Besic, good player. Morales didn't really have a great season, but either did Everton last season. Barkley, this is a big campaign for him. So much talent, but like Everton, disappointed last season. Deulofeu, Shani Karaj, valued at $7.5 million on Football Manager. He did go back out on loan to Grasshoppers, I think, last season. I'm not quite sure of that. Bayu Umar Niasse, the big signing of $12 million, hasn't scored a goal for Everton yet, I believe. And Rom Lukaku, the big one. Can Ronald Koeman keep a hold of the beast that is Lukaku, the guy that will get the goals for them? If he leaves, Everton could be in for a long season ahead. Hull City also yet to make any real movement in the transfer market, but big news today that Steve Bruce will continue as manager. Key players for Hull are Abel Hernandez, who will look to get the goals. Mohamed Diame, who I reckon could have got a move last season had he wanted it, but showed a bit of loyalty, stayed and scored the goal in the playoff final, I believe, that's seen them come back into the Premier League. Best player on Football Manager for me at Hull is definitely the Scotsman, formerly of Dundee United and Queen's Park, the left back that I think could play for most teams on Football Manager, Andrew Robertson. A real attacking fullback, got an eye for a cross, likes to dribble, likes to get forward, and really likes to run at fullbacks himself. Real good player, and one that Hull will look to keep a hold of on Football Manager. Certainly an interesting one, Leicester City. I do have them registered as the current Premier League champions on this game, and of course in the Champions League. Now, for me, I think Kante will go. I think he might join somebody like Arsenal. I think Riyad Mahrez will go also if a bigger club shows interest in him. However, good news for them, Jamie Vardy has signed on the dotted line and he will be staying at Leicester City, which is another touch of loyalty, I guess, but money thrown at himself, of course, probably convince him to stay. Signings of Ron Robert Zieler, who will definitely compete with Kasper Schmeichel for that number 1 spot. Decent goalkeeper, formerly of Manchester United. They have got a good base, but do we expect them to compete for the league title again? No, I don't think we will. Will they compete for the top 4 on Football Manager? No, not in my opinion. Although in the Sports Interactive latest patch, they did get hell of a bump and increase in attributes. Almost the full squad. Danny Simpson, good player, and Marty, he is quality on Football Manager. Wes Morgan, of course, the likes of Riyad Mahrez and that, but we're looking at underrated players such as this man, Demarai Gray, a real talent on the game. Someone that could do really well for Leicester City. Of course, Jamie Vardy going to be the one they're looking to score all the goals. But can Leicester City do well in the Champions League? In the Premier League, we will find out at the end of the simulation. Next we move on to Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, who's going to be in his first full season as Liverpool manager, and really the first time he's going to be able to express his own transfers, get his own players. He did have a chance previously, but this is the summer, this is where you can really get your own players and squad in. 7 years at Borussia Dortmund proved well for him. He's an exciting one to have in the Premier League. Of course, already spent big bucks. Sadio Mane coming in for around £34 million. Yes, it's a big fee, but what difference does big fee make to the fans personally? Nothing. The fans want quality, they got quality, Mane's in the door, and what a player I think he will be for Liverpool. Klopp has already brought in a goalkeeper, Loris Karius, who's been given the number 1 shirt, incidentally, and he will compete with Mignolet. Mignolet, who did get a new contract recently, he has needed some proper stiff competition, because the Liverpool fans get on the goalkeeper's back quite easily, but sometimes it's understandable. But when you don't have competition for your number 1 goalkeeper, they can become a bit complacent, and this is the type of signing that will really push Mignolet to earn his first team spot. A decent squad for Liverpool. I think it will only get better. Of course, Joel Matip coming in for a free transfer, valued at £17.75 million from the off. A real good signing, brought in for nothing. Someone who will shore up that defence, as Kolo Touré has left and we expect Martin Skirtle to leave in the next day or so coming. The likes of Emre Can will really step up. Alberto Moreno has to really step up his game, or a left back has to come in and really provide competition for him. Lazar Markovic comes back from Fenerbahce. I believe he had a good season, just having a look at the numbers and statistics, but personally I've never seen him play. But he will come back into the squad, and a lot of money he costs, so I'd expect some sort of return. Other players that you will expect to have a good season: Firmino, Origi, Coutinho, Sturridge, Benteke. I don't know if he will still be there. I can see him joining a club like West Ham, who've got money to burn, money to play with, or maybe another Premier League team, but I'm thinking West Ham. Danny Ings, of course, had a bad injury last season, as did Joe Gomez, the youngster. It'll be interesting to see if he gets another game, but this man is back, and I don't see anybody touching him with a barge pole. So if he does come back and he is at Melwood, I have no idea what Jurgen Klopp is going to do with him. Do you give him a chance? Do you give him game time in a friendly? He's not somebody I'd want in my club. Mario Balotelli is back at Liverpool for the season coming on Football Manager's Premier League Simulate. Just to wrap up the Liverpool side of things, the new number 19 at Liverpool, Sadio Mane, looks at an all-round top quality acquisition and can play with both feet. Good age, got Premier League experience, and for me, the price is big, but the quality is there, and I think he'll do a real good job for Liverpool. It'll be interesting to see how he works with the attacking midfielders such as Lallana, Mane, Firmino, Coutinho. What's he going to do with all them? I have no idea. Will one leave? If they do, I think it'll be Lallana, but I'm not quite sure. Quality player brought in the door at Liverpool, Sadio Mane. Next up, Manchester City, and what is possibly the biggest and most exciting appointment, should I say, in the Premier League this year. Of course, Mourinho is at Manchester United, Conte is at Chelsea, but we've seen these guys, or we've definitely seen Mourinho in the Premier League, of course, but everybody talks about Guardiola coming to the Premier League. Now, he is at Manchester City. He has only had jobs where he is really been in a dominant position, obviously at Barcelona B, then at Barcelona, where it was all on a plate for him. Bayern, it was all on a plate for him. Manchester City, he will certainly be made to work and earn his way to the top of the Premier League with stiff competition. And his first piece of business was Ilkay Gundogan being brought in by Guardiola, of course from Germany, Borussia Dortmund, in an area he knows very well. A top quality acquisition, somebody I feel was needed in the middle part for Manchester City, certainly because I see Yaya Toure leaving in this transfer window. Another signing made today from Manchester City's sister club Melbourne in Australia, Aaron Moy. I'm pretty sure we won't see him play much, and in fact I reckon we will see him go straight out on loan to another club, possibly back to Australia. So as you can see, a very talented squad at Guardiola's disposal, but I expect to see a lot of movement here. Joe Hart, for me, and Willy Caballero, they need some real stiff competition. I'd like to see them sign a goalkeeper that can really push Joe Hart. We've seen his mistakes in international football recently. Jason Denaire coming back from a loan at Galatasaray. Be interesting to see if he gets a game. Otamendi, expect to see a big season from him. Company, if he can stay fit, will be immense. Mangala, I reckon, will be sold. Zabaleta, I can see leaving the club also, as well as Kolarov. Nasri, we don't really see enough consistency from him. He's a good player on his day. Sterling, £50 million man, he really needs to get his finger out of his backside. Delph, Snake, awful player. Jesus Navas, he'll probably leave. The quality shows up near the top end of the pitch though. David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, who is arguably one of the top cams in world football. Aguero and Bonnie Willifried, who I also think will leave due to lack of football. Probably another Premier League club. Now if Romelu Lukaku leaves Everton, that could be a shoe fitting for Everton to sign Bonnie Willifried. Quality player, and when he played for Swansea, he was actually the top goal scorer in a calendar year from January to January in the Premier League at that time. Jose Mourinho, the special one, is back in the Premier League, and no, he's not at Stamford Bridge. That's right, he is at Manchester United. What an appointment. This is super exciting. Really looking forward to him being in the Premier League, going toe to toe and against Chelsea amongst the other big clubs in the Premier League. And I know the Manchester United squad isn't sort of Premier League level just yet, but in my opinion, he will have that team competing for the Premier League title this coming season. I support Newcastle United, by the way, so none of this Premier League talk at the moment is biased at all. This is my honest opinion of Jose Mourinho, and with the signing he's just made, you know who it is. I certainly think they will be up there. £30 million man Eric Bailly, brought in from Villarreal, looks very decent. Those mental attributes, 20 determination, they are all quality. Some decent technicals. Physically, he's excellent too. 21 years old. It'll be interesting to see if he comes in and slots straight in at the heart of the defence from the off of his career at Manchester United. Well, there he goes, the recently retired Swedish legend Zlatan Ibrahimovic at Manchester United. He confirmed it today. We all knew it was happening. Absolutely electric stats on Football Manager. Now this guy, he's never failed wherever he's gone. That is why the combination of Jose Mourinho, the special one, the winner, and Zlatan, the one that never loses. I think this combination is made in heaven, and I think Manchester United fans should be super excited again. I also think there's going to be a lot of maintenance work at Manchester United. I think they're sorted in goals. Romero, if he's willing and happy to be back up, then fair enough. But David De Gea, for me, definitely up there with the best goalkeepers in world football. Darmian possibly might go to Italy. I believe there's a lot of interest in him. Chris Smalling, there's a rock. Phil Jones, I think, will leave. Marcos Rojo, undecided. Blind, Bailey, Luke Shaw, big season coming for him, and I'm excited to see him back because he's a quality player. And if he's fit, I think he would have went to the Euros as the number one left back. Schneiderlin, it'll be interesting to see him. Pretty poor first season at Manchester United. Bastian Schweinsteiger, what we will see of him. Januzaj, will he even stay at the club? Fellaini, Herrera, we don't really see much of them in recent times. Lingard, Juan Mata, it'll be interesting to see if Jose Mourinho keeps him. Depay, he needs a big season. Anthony Martial, an absolute baller. Wayne Rooney and Ibra, that is going to be special. Wayne Rooney, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the same team. That is what dreams are made of. And if I was a Manchester United fan, I would, as I've already said, be really, really excited for the season coming. Next up, we'll have a brief look at Middlesbrough. Of course, one North East club goes up, one goes down, and my team, Newcastle United, go down, and Middlesbrough come up. They have made a signing. They have made the signing of Victor Fisher, former Football Manager wonder kid, still only 21 years old, injury prone in real life I believe, but certainly one who can do it for any team on Football Manager. A real good player. I haven't experienced using him since FM 13 I think, but a real good player on the game nonetheless. Jordan Rhodes, also at Middlesbrough, good on Football Manager, and expect him to score a lot of goals in this simulation. Claude Puel today assigned the manager of Southampton on a 3-year contract. Has only managed in France. We'll see how that proves and see if he goes there for some players to sign for the club. Had previously managed Lille, Lyon, Nice, and now at Southampton. Got really good attributes for a manager, quite experienced, 53 years old. It will be interesting to see what he makes of the patchwork needing done at Southampton. Of course, losing Mane, another blow. A lot of money he should have to play with to bring in his own team. It's kind of weird because Koeman seemed to have been doing something there, building his own team, bringing in a few Dutch players such as Klaasie, Van Dijk. It'll be interesting to see what he does. Of course, the big loss of Sadio Mane and Victor Wanyama in recent weeks could be a big blow for the Southampton club. So a player is probably brought in with the intention of Mane moving on. Nathan Redmond, for me, this guy in Football Manager, excellent. One of my go-to buys in the game, but now he's at Southampton, it might not be so good. Some great attributes on the game, and I think he could be a really good signing for Southampton. I think they're a well-rounded team, a team that have really got a lot of big players tied down to contract. Forster, new contract. Fonte, good player, the captain. Bertrand, good player. Van Dijk, new contract. I'm sure Ronald Koeman will want him at Everton. Klaasie, decent signing. Hasn't really seen much of him though since he did sign on the dotted line. Redmond, really good player. Tadic, good player, long hard worker. Jay Rodriguez, good to see him back. James Ward-Prowse, absolute quality. I think we're going to see him in the England squad within the next 6 months. Grazie Pelle, I think we're going to see him leave Southampton. Charlie Austin, big season for him. I really wanted it at Newcastle before Southampton signed him. A really big season coming up for that player. Moving on to Stoke City, not much movement from them thus far in the transfer window or the pre-transfer window. Really, they're going to be looking at players such as Shaqiri, Bojan, Afellay, Arnautovic. He's only got 1 year left on his contract, I believe, so they're going to have to get him tied down or sell him and make the money. They want a big season from Janelli and Bula, who of course was brought in for around £18 million. A decent squad, a squad that will probably be improved ever so slightly. Good goalkeepers. Jack Butland, I think he's England's number one in the future, although Forster is a really good goalkeeper as well. He is up alongside my all-time favourite goalkeeper, that is Shea Given, so he's got a good mentor and tutor there. Next we move on to Sunderland. The less said about them, the better. No, I am just joking. Done well under Big Sam to stay up in the league. Sam does what he does and he keeps the team in the league. Maybe this season is a season where Sunderland are not in a scrap and they can have it a little bit easier. Got a decent enough team, some decent players, but they do need some improvement. For me, in the goalkeeper area, they need improvement. They need another central defender as well. Kabul, not good enough. O'Shea, not great. Coney is decent. Kirkhoff is decent. They do bring back Matthews on loan, who was at Bristol City. In the middle you have Cattermole, who is an absolute joke of a football, robs a living for a career. Jack Rodwell, almost a forgotten man in football, big season for him coming ahead. Emmanuel Giaccherini, good player, linked with Chelsea, 30 years old. It will be interesting to see if he stays at Sunderland. If not, I think Sunderland could recoup a decent bit of money from him. Wabi Kazri, seen him play for Sunderland at the derby against Newcastle. Good talent, never heard of him before he moved there, and a real good player. Jermaine Lens, decent player. Barini, Newcastle fans don't like him, but he is a very good player. If he could add more goals to his game, he'd be worth the value of £9 million in the game. And Jermaine Defoe, of course, the main man up front. Excellent signing, and for me, should have been on the plane to France with the England team. Again, next up, a team with not much action so far. Swansea City, a decent team, a team that does need improved nevertheless. Ashley Williams, a stalwart at the back. He really could do with a first team partner, natural partner that you pick week in, week out with. Neil Taylor, decent left back. Keeson Young, good player. Nathan Dyer back at Swansea. Of course, Gary Monk is out of the club now, so he might get another go there. Andre Ayew, decent. The main man, of course, are Bafétimbi Gomez to get the goals. I think they do need another striker, and Gylfi Sigurdsson, an all-round absolute class player, and I think he could play for probably any team outside the top 5 or 6 in the Premier League. Absolute baller, and one of my all-time favourites on Football Manager. A beast, kind of like Kante at Leicester, Victor Wanyama, he also is a top player. For me, this is another cog in Project Pochettino. A very good team, another very good addition, and I think they will do very well at Tottenham Hotspur. Let's have a look at the rest of their team. I genuinely do think with another big signing or two, they could really compete for the Premier League title again. They've got a good goalkeeper, of course, Hugo Lloris, the French captain, and a backup goalkeeper is also very important to have a good one. We've seen Liverpool have Mignolet in goals, but when they didn't have him, they had Adam Bogdan, who was awful, where Tottenham have a good backup goalkeeper in Michel Vorm. Great defence, with Tongan, Alderweireld, Walker, Rose, really solid back four there. Eric Dyer, of course, can't play at the back. In midfield, they got Wanyama, Dele Alli, Lamela, who's coming into his own zone recently. Son Heung-min, I expect a big season from him if he gets some game time. Mbele, quality. Eriksen, big time baller. And Harry Kane up top. For me, they do need another striker, because if they lose Harry Kane, who are they relying on to get the goals up front? Clinton G, £12 million man. Not really seen anything of him since he joined the club. For me, one or two big signings from Tottenham, and I see them competing for the Premier League title again. Watford have appointed Walter Mazzarri as their manager. Has been manager of Sampdoria, Napoli and Inter Milan in the past. He looks like he should be part of the mafia. Will he do big things and make Watford start shooting up the Premier League? We shall see. Of course, they've got links with Udinese and Granada. Wonder if they will exploit them links and try to bring in players. Isaac Success, a player that has been linked heavily with Watford to come in. Again, another team that is much the same since the last day of the season. For me, Quique Sanchez Flores done a really good season for them, and he should be proud. It was a strange one that he left, but I guess only the Watford fans will know the inside scoop on why he did actually leave. So a decent team with some decent players all round. Gomez solid in goals. Cathcart, Capu, Nayom, Anya, decent players. Then a lot of foreign players in the midfield area. Barami, formerly of West Ham. Suarez, Gerardo, Berghuis, Abdi, long-term player of Watford. Vidra back at Watford. Norden Amarat, the player that we should see big things from this season. He was signed for big money from Malaga last season. Orien Agallo, it's imperative they keep him, as well as the captain, Troy Deeney. They are the goal threats, the goal scorers, and the ones I think will keep them floating in the Premier League another season. Next one on West Brom, who again another club that haven't done much in terms of transfers. For me, I think it's going to be the same old West Brom. They'll be floating just above that relegation zone, and they will just about survive the Premier League again. It's an interesting one with them, because really, Ricky Lambert, he's gone down and down. Solomon Rondon, a good player, he will get the goals for them. Berahino, I don't think will be a West Brom player by the time the transfer window in August is over. Good experience in the middle with Fletcher, Brun, McManaman. Good experience in the back with Macaulay, Olsen and Evans. And of course the likes of Craig Gardner, James Chester, and in goals they have Lindegaard and Ben Foster. Be interesting to see what they do. Their best and most talented player is Berahino's, but I think he will leave. One to watch out for with West Brom is Jordan Lico. We've seen him at the tail end of last season come in for a few games. Looks a real talent. Finally, in the Premier League, we will look at West Ham United in the Europa League. Of course, now moved, as you can see at the bottom right of your screen, the Olympic Stadium with 54,000 capacity is a decent team, and I think they've got a lot of money to burn, and I think we're going to see that money be burnt. And I think if I'm a West Ham fan, you're moving to the Olympic Stadium, you've got Slaven Bilic, you've got your local legend and captain Mark Noble, you've got a solid team already, and you're bringing in top quality players. I would be damn excited if I was a West Ham fan. I think they're going to have an excellent season coming. Team, of course, as you know, rock solid in a lot of areas. Adrian in goals, like Bonner, Reid, Reece Burke, talented youngster at the back, along with Reece Oxford. Havard Norvite, brought in, former Arsenal and Mönchengladbach player. Aaron Cresswell. For me, if I'm English and in the next friendly, I think I'd want to see him get called up and given a go. Sam Byram, Koyate, Obiang, Lanzini in a permanent deal, Antonio, Valencia, Dimitri Payet. They've got Payet, Dimitri Payet. What a baller. I tell you what, just as well you offered him a big contract not long ago and he accepted, because I think you'd have clubs coming crawling for your main man. What a player, and I think he's going to stay, and I think it'll be super exciting. Andy Carroll up front, Diafro Sakho as well. I think he will leave. And the signing that they got on a free transfer from Valencia, Sofiane Feghouli, real top baller on the game, and I think he will be excellent in this simulation. A lot of money to be spent by West Ham, and as I say guys, if I'm a West Ham fan, I'm super damn excited. So there you go guys, we have ran through each team, some in more detail than others, some briefly and not much detail at all, but we've done every team. We're going to do a simulation as today, the 30th of June 2016, as it stands today, with all the signings done, dusted. If the Premier League was to start today with these squads and no other movement, how would it get on? So my prediction is the teams to get relegated. I will say the three that came up, Burnley, Middlesbrough and Hull, I think will get relegated in this simulation. Bear in mind I haven't done the simulation yet guys. I am predicting. And the champions of this league, tough one to call. Bear in mind we're going to look at the signings at the end of the simulation, who each team have signed, and we're also going to look at statistics in terms of top goal scorers and all that sort of stuff and how they got on in European football. The champions of this first season, it's a tough one. I want to say Manchester United, Jose Mourinho and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but I'm going to say the champions of this simulation will be Manchester City. So guys, now we're going to fast forward, we're going to zip into the future of one season, see how the league panned out, look a little bit more in depth, look at transfer signings and sales from these Premier League clubs, and see how they got on in Europe also. See you in a second guys, we'll get forward 1 year and we'll see how these teams get on. Okay guys, so we're 1 year ahead in Premier League simulates. Now what we're going to do is have a look at the league table, then go through each team and look at the transfers each team has made. Then we'll get into the domestic cups, then the Champions League, and see overall which teams have done well in the game. And then finally we'll look at player statistics for the season overall and see which players and if any of the new signings to the Premier League have stood out in particular. So here we are then guys, and my prediction was way off. I predicted Manchester City to win the league. They didn't, they finished 4th, and I predicted Hull, Burnley and Middlesbrough to go down, and only one of the three went down. So, as you can see, Arsenal won the league by 2 points over Liverpool. And as you can see in the last 5 games, they won all 5. Liverpool losing one of them, which means it was very tight in the last 5 games. Finishing 3rd was Manchester United, 6 points behind the champions Arsenal. Manchester City in 4th, of course, winning their last 5 games also. Chelsea finishing 5th, Tottenham 6th, and it's good to see Leicester City back in the Europa League, playing European football for the second season running. Teams still got relegated: West Brom, boring old West Brom, doesn't really surprise you. Swansea finishing bottom is a little bit of a surprise. Burnley down there, Middlesbrough surviving. Hull surviving by 6 points, Sunderland doing what they do, Sam Allardyce just surviving. Palace are roughly where they are, Southampton disappointing in 12th. Bournemouth 11th is pretty decent, and West Ham just missing out on goal difference to Leicester City in the Europa League, and they finished 8th in the table. Now, goals for top goal scorers in the league were indeed Arsenal by 5 goals. They did score the most in the league, and goals against, Sunderland and Middlesbrough conceded the most. Out of the big teams, Tottenham and Manchester United were the most conceded in that retrospect. Now, we're going to look at the transfers briefly through each team, but we'll not get really in depth to that because it will take quite a while. But we'll go through each team in the Premier League and see what signings they made and if any big ones were made at all. First up, in alphabetical order, Arsenal spent 32 million on Kevin Strootman from Roma, Andrew Ivan, a young talent, for 3.5 million, and Dorry van Beek from Ajax. Notable players going out of the club: Chuba Akpom on loan, Sergei Gnabry going to Leicester on loan, which is an interesting one. They're signing Andrew Ivan went to Derby, and David Ospina joined Bournemouth for 2.6 million, which is a bit of a bargain for the Colombian. Bournemouth spent 4 million over the season, bringing in 3 free transfers: Martin Harnik, Juan Fran, and Philip Meksesh, the former AC Milan player. Ospina, as we mentioned, and Emilio Izagirre from Celtic. Paddy McNair on loan, and the only fee they really received by selling players was Dan Gosling to Watford and Junior Stanislas to Burnley. Moving on to Burnley, they spent £500,000 bringing in loanees in Lewis Baker and Ainsley Maitland-Niles from Chelsea and Arsenal, Junior Stanislas and Sam Clucas from Hull. Cameron Dunnigan went out on loan to Newcastle United in the Championship. Next we're on to Chelsea, and as far as outgoings go, it was really expected. They loaned out around 20 players. Notable ones out of that were Lewis Baker, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Patrick Bamford, Izzy Brown, Dominic Solanke, Kennedy going out on loan to his native Brazil, Matt Miazga going on loan to Germany, Jeremy Boga and Papa Djalaboji going to Lille for 1.9 million, the only sale they made, and Baba Rahman going on loan to Lazio. Incomings, Gregory van der Wiel and the legend of Germany, Miroslav Klose, both free transfers. The young talent Davor Lovren, Vincent Abubakar for 16 million, Luan coming in for just short of 7 million, Mattia De Siglio coming in for 15 million just about from Milan, and Gino Peruzzi, the right back, you all know him, famed from Football Manager 2012, comes in from Boca Juniors. Nearly the 10 million spent from Crystal Palace, Ryan Bennett coming in from Championship club Norwich for 4 million nearly. Thomas Meunier, who we've seen do very well at the European Championships at the left back spot, I believe, for Belgium, 1.7 million. Bryce Dejeje from Marseille for 3.5 million, and Goran Popov from Vardar. Outgoings, Johnny Williams, who is currently doing well in the Wales team at the European Championships also. Mile Jednak going to Toulouse, and Dwight Gale going on loan to Aston Villa, and I believe we will see him in a black and white Newcastle United shirt within the next 24 hours. Next up we have Everton, and Ronald Koeman didn't really spend any money. Bear in mind, we haven't added financial budgets to each team yet. We do that in a couple of weeks on the database editor. They brought in £500,000 the goalkeeper Mande Sayuba, who's pretty handy on this game. Marouane Chamakh, Alvaro Arbeloa on free transfers. In terms of sales, they didn't sell anyone. They loaned out a lot of players: Tyce Browning, Matt Pennington, Conor McElhaney, Conor Grant and Leandro Rodriguez. Hull also never spent any money. They brought in Jamal Lascelles from Newcastle United on loan, Isaac Hayden, who was on loan to Hull last season in real life, and Joey O'Brien, the former Bolton and West Ham player, on a free transfer. They let go Eldin Jakubovic on a free. Brian Lenihan went to Bristol City, and Sam Clucas, as we mentioned, went to Burnley. There seems to be a theme occurring in regards to small Premier League money being spent. Sergei Gnabry coming on loan to Leicester, who spent nothing. They didn't release or let go any big players either, in terms of Kante, Vardy and Mahrez, who all stayed on at the club. Tom Lawrence and Matty James went on loan, and Leandro Ulloa went to Genoa for 1.6 million. Moving on to Jurgen Klopp's boys now, they didn't spend any money either, which is a real surprise, but I guess after the purchase of Sadio Mane, they didn't really have the cash potentially to spend anymore. In terms of players going out, Origi, surprise, went on loan to Wolfsburg. Ojo to Nottingham Forest. Also going out is Marko Grujic, the talent, went to Nice. Joe Gomez to Aston Villa. Alan to Fluminense and Pedro Chirivella to Birmingham. Another club with no money spent is Manchester City. They let go Willy Caballero to Watford and Bruno Zuccolini on loan to Derby, the only notable players to leave the club. Finally, a little bit of spending from Jose Mourinho and his Manchester United team. Ezequiel Garay comes in for 16 million from Zenit. Mario Fernandes for 13.5 million from CSKA Moscow. Gökhan Torre for 7.5 million from Besiktas. They also brought in Lucas Lima from Brazil for 9.25 million and Rafik Zakini from Odd for £650,000. Players going out, a couple of decent players, or players that played a decent amount of time this first season in the game and last season in real life, Cameron Borthwick-Jackson to Barnsley. James Wilson, who was on loan at Brighton last season, went on loan to West Brom. Andres Pereira to Derby. Paddy McNair to Bournemouth. Will Keane to Wigan. Rafik Zakini, the signing from Odd, did go on loan to Deportivo. Marcus Rashford went on loan to Aston Villa. Then he went on loan to Norwich. Timothy Fosu-Mensah went on loan to Den Haag, and Tyler Blackett to Nottingham Forest. We move on to Middlesbrough, who brought in Johnny Williams from Crystal Palace on loan. Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper, on loan from Arsenal, and Youssef Sabali from PSG on loan also. Players going out, the only sale was Mustafa Carriol to Bristol City. Surprisingly, Emilio Insu to Brighton on loan, and a few youngsters went on loan, including Dale Fry and Callum Cook. Leicester City, under the shrewd scoutsmanship of Les Reed, brought in Silvio from Atletico for 2.4 million, Jonas Svensson from Rosenborg for short of 900,000, and the ageing ex-Arsenal player Thomas Rosicky. And outgoing for them, Sam Gallagher, Ryan Seeger, Jake Hesketh, Josh Sims all going out on loan, as did Jordan Turnbull, Lloyd Isgrove, Jason McCarthy, Matt Target. Florian Gardosh went on loan, very unlucky, he had a real bad injury whilst at Southampton, and Lloyd Isgrove went out on loan again. Seems like Mark Hughes was fishing in the free transfer market bin, bringing in Mauricio Isla on free, Kolo Touré on a free, Leon Osman on a free, and the loan deal of Mario Pasalic from Chelsea. They did let go Peter Crouch on loan to Sunderland, Mark Wilson on loan to Newcastle, and the ex-Barcelona youngster Moha Urashi on loan to Orlando City. But it does seem that Stoke set up an affiliate with Orlando City, as we've seen Urashi go there. Daniel Bachmann, who is of fame from second yellow card series with Wimbledon, as is Oliver Shenton, who went on loan to Sheffield Wednesday. But also on loan to Orlando was Dominic Karasik. That's 3 players, and it seems to me that an affiliate was set up there. Pretty boring transfer business from Sunderland under Sam Allardyce, who brought in Peter Crouch and loaned out Will Buckley. Swansea brought in on loan Oliver Torres from Atletico Madrid, and on free transfers Mathieu Flamini and Emmanuel Adebayor. Loaning out the Scotsman Stephen Kingsley to Aberdeen, Kyle Bartley to Newcastle United, Jay Fulton to Sheffield Wednesday, and Gerhard Tremmel was released on a free transfer. Maurizio Pochettino did not hold back on Project Pochettino and his spending and his transfer wheeling and dealing. Hatem Ben Arfa coming in on a free transfer. Hakan Çalhanoğlu coming in from Bayer Leverkusen for 18 million. Hakim Ziyech from FC 20 for 6.5 million. John Brooks for just short of 10 million from Hertha Berlin. Joe Rankin Costello, £700,000 from Blackburn, and the legend, who I haven't actually used in a couple of years on Football Manager, Eder Alvarez Balanta, the Colombian from River Plate, for a reasonable 3.2 million. Loanies they let go: Josh Onoma, Grant Ward, Kyle Walker Peters, Harry Winks twice on loan. Kevin Wimmer went to Roma for 11 million. Moussa Dembele went to Roma for a bargain snip at £5.5 million. Pardon me. Federico Fazio went on transfer to 3 0.6 million to Fiorentina, and Harry Winks went out on his third loan to his third Championship club after Sheffield Wednesday, Preston and then Rotherham. Watford's transfers were the free contract of Jose Enrique, Dan Gosling from Bournemouth and Willie Caballero from Manchester City. They let go Matthijs Renega on a free transfer, Alman Abdi to Genoa, Steven Berghuis to PSV on loan, Arlen Guerreiro to Bursaspor for under $1 million, Juan Carlos Paredes out on loan to Derby, and Gabriel Angela to Nottingham Forest on loan. Boring old Tony Pulis made 3 loan signings. James Wilson, pretty good. Patrick Bamford, pretty good. And the young talent of Martin Odegaard coming in to the Midlands from Real Madrid on loan. James McLean went out on loan to Norwich City. And the final transfer page of the Premier League is Alan Halilovic, the talent from Barcelona, coming in on loan to West Ham. Reece Burke going to Preston on loan, and Diego Poyet going to Fulham on loan. So that has wrapped up the transfers, guys. Let's get in and see who won the FA Cup, Capital One Cup and the Community Shield. So here we have the Community Shield, which was played between the FA Cup winners Manchester United and the Premier League winners Leicester City, and as you can see, Manchester United won 2-0. Jamie Vardy picking up a booking along with Christian Fuchs. Phil Jones getting a goal in the 24th minute, and it seemed he got injured, celebrating being taken off injured 1 minute later. And on his debut, the Swedish beast Zlatan Ibrahimovic puts Manchester United 2-0 up and takes the Shield back to the red side of Manchester. The final of the Capital One Cup was hotly contested by 2 powerhouse giants of the Premier League between Liverpool and Arsenal, and after 5 minutes Philip Coutinho put Liverpool ahead 1-0. 4 minutes later Robert Firmino put them 2-0 up, and you were thinking it was game over before Mesut Ozil on the 23rd minute popped up to bring it back, and on the 49th minute, just after half time, Firmino almost put the game out of range. 3-1 Liverpool before Strootman pulled them back on the hour, and you're thinking this could be game on. But Liverpool held out for 31 minutes to maintain their lead, and Liverpool are the champions of the Capital One Cup on the 28th of February 2016, as if this was 2017. We're playing how the Premier League is now. The FA Cup saw Championship side Norwich City make it all the way to Wembley. Unfortunately, they were beaten 2-1 in extra time by Chelsea. Now, they did take the lead through Cameron Jerome. Bookings picked up by Robbie Brady, Sebastian Bassong, Stephen Naismith. Johnny Howson was, however, sent off a straight red in the 81st minute. Vincent Abubakar in his debut season for Chelsea, he scored and equalised on the 71st minute before putting the 11 against 10 men Chelsea ahead in the 103rd minute, and Chelsea win the FA Cup. A lot of bookings in this match, 9 in total, 3 for Norwich, we've named them already, and 6 yellow cards for Chelsea. Diego Costa, Marco van Hinkel, John Obi Mikel, Matteo De Siglo, Vincent Abubakar and Gary Cahill picking up yellow cards for the blue Chelsea. Chelsea win the FA Cup, Liverpool win the Capital One Cup, Manchester United win the Community Shield. Let's have a look at Europe and see if any of the teams in England in the Premier League made it to the final of the Europa League, Champions League, or maybe even won it. Now, as you can see, guys, not only did Jose Mourinho finish third with Manchester United in his first season, and he won the Community Shield, Jose Mourinho has brought the Europa League back to Manchester. Now, Juan Mata put Manchester United 1-0 up in the 59th minute against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored in his second cup final, showing how pivotal he is to his big name, big contribution in a Europa League final that, if you look at the statisticals, guys, Manchester United absolutely dominated this match. In an attendance of 36,000 at the St Jacob Park in Basel, Manchester United are the Europa League champions. Just before we get into the Champions League, guys, I must put you onto this screen just to notice that Zlatan Ibrahimovic finished top goal scorer in the Europa League with 11 goals. Juan Mata average rating was the highest with 8.23, and Juan Mata got 8 assists making him second in the assists for the Europa League. Clean sheets, David De Gea with 10 clean sheets in the Europa League. So Manchester United very well represented in the Europa League. So a little bit disappointing news in the UEFA Champions League, but the positive from this is Leicester City, out of all the English teams in the UEFA Champions League, actually made it the furthest, reaching the quarter-final where they were knocked out, losing 3-1 away and 3-1 at home to Bayern Munich. Not a disgrace to lose 6-2 in aggregate to the Bavarian Giants, but a quarter-final place for Leicester and Claudio Ranieri's men in the Champions League, and going the furthest out of all the English teams is a very respectable achievement for the Leicester City Foxes. So guys, we're going to now skip back to the Premier League and show you the statisticals and which players stood out and shone in the Premier League, because although we're showing you snippets of European football here, this was mainly a Premier League simulates, and to see how each team got on with their new managers and their new players at their disposal this season coming up. Okay guys, so games without losing. Manchester City went 18 in the Premier League without losing. Chelsea went 14. Those are the two highest respectable ones. Arsenal with 8 and a couple of teams with 5. Form at the tail end of the season, we already showed you Arsenal and Manchester City had present decent form. Shocking streaks without winning. Hull 15, Tottenham surprisingly with 9, Bournemouth and Sunderland with 5. Games without conceding was Arsenal, who went 4 games without conceding an individual goal. Crazily, in terms of appearance, John Terry, who signed a 1-year contract with Chelsea at the start of the season, made 38 Premier League appearances, appearing in every single game, and he won 19 of those, lost 5. Other players, quite a few of them played every single game, including Jermaine Defoe, Yaya Toure, Simon Francis, Stephen Davis, Stuart Downing, Ryan Shawcross, Toby Alderweireld, Hugo Lloris. I'd expect goalkeepers to possibly be in there. Hazard, Firmino, Eriksen and Sigurdsson and Livermore make up the players who played every single game in the Premier League. Games won you'd expect to come from pretty much the same bunch of teams. Firmino, Moreno, Milner played in 28 and 27 games, as well as Henderson, that the Liverpool team had won. Ozil, Sanchez played in 27 games, that also Arsenal won. As you'd expect, the teams near the top to be in this area. Man of the Match awards, you'd expect somebody like Mesut Ozil to be up the top, and he was indeed, with 14 Man of the Match awards in 38 appearances with an 8.19 average. Alderweireld getting 11, Kevin De Bruyne getting 10, Simon Francis with 10 also, Aguero and Harry Maguire with 8 Man of the Matches, Ibrahimovic with 7, Leighton Baines with 6. Not really too much of an interesting one, but Leicester City's Jamie Vardy at the age of 29 covered the most area of the pitch in the entire season with 238.47. He covered a lot of ground in the season, as did Cesar Azpilicueta, James Milner, Alexis Sanchez and N'Golo Kante. As for highest ratings, Mesut Ozil, as we'd expect, was up the top there with 8.19. Kevin De Bruyne, 8.03. 7.03 for Juan Mata, 7.75 for Leighton Baines and Sergio Aguero. Just below them are Sanchez, Alderweireld, Mertesacker, Ibrahimovic, Blind, Coutinho, Cresswell and Depay. So here is where we get into the nitty-gritty and the more entertaining side of things. Top goal scorers in the Premier League with 20 Sanchez, 19 Aguero, 18 Kane, Okazaki with 17, Wilson with 17, Ibrahimovic, 16 goals and in 31 games, which is not too bad for a 34-year-old. Sturridge 16, Lukaku 15, Depay 15, Barini, who got the goals that I said his value needed, 15 goals also for Vardy, Ozil and Hazard, with Cuadrado on 14. You never really expect anybody else up to be top of the assist list, and indeed it was Mesut Ozil with 15. Herrera, surprisingly, with 15 for Ozil. Mark Noble and De Bruyne with 11. Ramsey and Kante with 10, along with Fuchs, Mata, Scott Dan. Wow, central defender getting 10 assists. Unbelievable. Got more than Gylfi Sigurdsson, and he is my all-time god on assists. Unbelievable. We scroll all the way down to the clean sheet section, guys, and Petr Cech got 13 clean sheets, Mignolet 11, De Gea 11, Hart, Courtois and Lloris got 10 clean sheets each. Just before we wrap up this video, guys, we will show you the England squad that are in the European Championships. Gus Hiddink took over the hot seat after Roy Hodgson left. Now we'll look at the squad and see if he's made any changes himself. Joe Hart, Fraser Forster, Jack Butland, John Stones, Chris Smalling, Eric Dyer, Gary Cahill, Ryan Shawcross, Kyle Walker, Nathaniel Klein, Leighton Baines, Luke Shaw, James Milner, Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, Raheem Sterling, John Joe Shelby, Theo Walcott, Jack Wilshere, Danny Welbeck, Wayne Rooney, Daniel Sturridge and Harry Kane were all on the plane chosen by Gus Hiddink. Well, that's just about it, guys. That is a video, a much longer video than anticipated, a much longer video than I usually do. This video is about 3 minutes short of the hour. The Premier League simulates, as it stands on today's date, the 30th of June 2016. This, with the squads that the Premier League have, with the managers at disposal, the money to buy the players. This is how Football Manager predicts and simulates how next season will finish. Of course, there will be a lot more signings to be made before the end of August, but this is what Football Manager thinks. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm trying to get a little bit more active on YouTube again. This is Premier League Simulates. If you want, you can follow us, the Football Manager WizKids, on Facebook. We have around 16,000 people on there. YouTube, where you'll see this video. If you've not subscribed, please do hit that like button if you've enjoyed this or any other of our videos. If you want a recommendation, I say check out my playlist of the Class of 92 from Football Manager 2015. That was really good and really got my channel off and kick-started. Please subscribe, as I say, if you're here already. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, at the FM WizKids. We're nearly at 3,000 followers on there. The TIFO project, follow us on there, that would be good. And if you have any queries and inquiries or whatever, you can get us at the Football Manager WizKids at hotmail.com. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's been a long video. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm getting back into YouTube, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, take care, and goodbye.